Hello. I'm going to do a bit of a Lucas and run through some stuff as I chat. But yeah, I'm Laura. I work primarily as a theatre director. I also work as a filmmaker and a writer as well. This is just some images from past work, so I'll just go through that. And essentially, I've called my presentation Playful Destruction because the way I work is by playing a lot and experimenting a lot, but then at a certain point you have to destroy a lot of the pretty pictures that you get to make. This quote actually is kind of a really good example of the way I make stuff. I'm not going to read it out. I'm sure you can all see it. But I really start with a big, huge playground, a lot of performers, a lot of collaborators. We make a lot of stuff, and then we destroy it to get to the final product. And we also, I use a technique called viewpoints, which is developed by a company in New York, a city company, which I don't have time to go into now, but they're really interesting in terms of using conventional patterns and structures to create something completely new, which is what this little bit's about in terms of reimagining myth by using things we know and then re-looking at them, recreating them, which is essentially what I've been doing. This is very quickly a work I did for Creative Sydney last year, which we made in 24 hours about public art. And so we had a topic, we had about 4 hours in Jess's lovely studio, and we made that. This is the second thing I'm going to show you really quickly is a film that I made at the end of last year, which was very experimental in the sense that it was a non-dialogue film, and we also improvised most of the physical action, which you're going to see about a minute of in a second. So I had to deal with the film crew trying to capture something that was playful. So I'm just going to play that quickly. I apologise for the aspect ratio. So that's a short clip from a physical film that goes on and on. But mostly what I'm going to talk about now is POLYOPERA, which is actually a project that I'm just about to start in full time. It's a collaboration between Opera Australia and a group of independent artists called Polyartistry, which I'm an associate artist of. And essentially what it is we've tagged an opera where you least expect it. And what we're doing is we're taking 3 traditional arias, one from La Boheme, one from Don Giovanni, and one from Lakme, and performing them in unexpected locations. One's in a artist studio in Surrey Hills, one's in Blacktown, and one is in Parramatta Park. And they're also getting remixed with contemporary musicians. So, for example, Don Giovanni is being sung traditionally and then remixed by Morganix, who's a hip-hop beats producer, some of you might know. And also there's going to be a battle between hip-hop and opera. So that's going to be the event that happens in Blacktown. La Boheme, which is on next week, is basically going to be a massive bohemian party where all artists, including you guys here, are invited to come along, and that will be an electronic deconstruction of the opera. So it's using a lot of different disciplines, and it's a massive, massive experiment, both for us, but also for Opera Australia, who is a company that generally operates here and in very traditional ways. This is just a little snapshot of our website. The project aims are just to, basically the reason it came about is Opera Australia wanted to connect opera with new audiences, particularly those who frequent social media platforms. So a lot of the engagement happens online, and those who reside in Inner West and Western Sydney. They also really wanted to explore the preconceptions about opera. It's generally regarded as an art form that is very purist, it's very rigid, it's often inaccessible, it's expensive. So, and I'd only been to one opera in my life because of a lot of those reasons, so I was a good person to get on board. And the other thing they wanted to do is try and democratise the art form by inviting the public to contribute creative ideas that will be integrated into our operas. So when you... so how we're going to do that is basically the opera's being, as I said, being performed in unexpected locations with unexpected musical collaborations. We've already done a lot of box popping and interacting with the general public around opera. I'll play a little bit of that later. And we're inviting creative contributions via Twitter. We have a Twitter libretto where people can contribute their 140 characters of text that will be performed by opera singers, a Bohemian Sydney installation, and Gathering Stories in Parramatta. This is opera trying to make some friends in Sydney. Unfortunately, she didn't have a lot of luck. So I'll skip forward through that. Might play a little bit more at the end. So basically what we have is a get involved section where people can contribute, mostly through the ways that I just outlined. But also we're kind of asking questions. We essentially want to have a conversation around opera that will then hopefully sort of push a lot of energy into these events. This is some stuff that we've already done. We've done some box pops with people. We found some skaters who were French, and they decided to do some skating with their costumes. So we had like an installation where we took Opera Australia's vast array of very expensive costumes to the public where they could try them on, which was massively successful. We also did some stuff out in Circular Quay, which this will kind of play without sound while I talk about it. So what we did was just start the conversation and invite people to come to the show, invite people to talk about opera. And I guess the really interesting thing is the fact that it is really a research and development project in many ways. So there are clear artistic outcomes in terms of stories and what we're going to do. And there'll be the performance nights, and then we're going to turn those into 8-minute YouTube videos capturing the project at the end. But a lot of it is generated during June, during the project, by people here, elsewhere, anywhere. So a lot of the stuff we're trying not to make. We're trying to get other people to make it with us. So it's all about kind of collaboration, both with artists that don't normally work in opera and also the general public. I'll just keep going. So what we're going to do is there are 3 performance events. The first one is on Wednesday, next Wednesday, in Surrey Hills at Curious Works' space. We're also... Oh, that went forward. Go back. We're also, compiling and curating a lot of the crowdsourced material. And as I said, the performance nights are going to be documented by using by shooting them. We're going to turn them into 8-minute YouTube videos that are going to be part of an opera film festival right at the end of the project in June. So it's something that is it's a really different project even for me. I normally work in theatre and film spheres that are very structured, and this, even though within that there's a lot of experimentation, but this is absolutely completely new and different for kind of everyone involved. And it's quite exciting that a big company like Opera Australia, who normally would probably run a million miles from something like this, has decided to be part of it and to really embrace that form. And I guess just as I get towards the end, what I wanted to say was please join us, join the conversation. You can follow us on Twitter at POLYOPERA. You can like and comment on our Facebook page. which is at POLYOPERA. You can also follow our blog at polyopera.com, and there are the dates of the 3 performance works up there. The other thing is, the other thing we're kind of doing is getting people, writers, composers, any kind of art form to contribute, both in the ways that we've outlined, but in new ways. So if you have ideas, please play with us. And just quickly, just in terms of what I'm doing after that, I'm doing the next thing I do after that is the world premiere of a new German play called Sweet Bird and So Forth, which is a kind of really big world premiere for us as independent artists. We're flying our playwright out from Germany, and she's one of sort of the hottest young playwrights in Germany at the moment. We're currently crowdsourcing for the project, so if you feel generous, please get on board. And the last thing I just wanted to leave you with was some stuff that, from the work that I've done with City and the Worcester Group in New York, that really inspires me, is this idea of kind of constantly experimenting, playing, collaborating, and really valuing creativity, and that it actually, by finding new ways of expression, it actually helps reimagine our futures. And on Jess's theme of failing, this is my motto. Take risks, fail gloriously. I do it a lot, and it's great. It's really fun. So yeah, I just think my whole thing is to get out there and actually do it. And if you're going to do it in the biggest possible way, so that if you fail, it will be massive and wonderful and a great learning curve. And yeah, if you want to get in touch with me, I'm on Twitter at Laura Scrivano, and my blog is up there. And that's it from me. That was fun.